Happy Treat Yourself Friday. So today we talk about the way I treat myself and the way I encourage you to treat yourself. So this is the beginning of a new series called Treat Yourself Fridays. And what I address here are things that I love and that I want to share with you guys. So for me, let's talk about this product here. And it's called Wild Tonic. And the flavor is blackberry mint, and it's Jun and kombucha, which is really, it says it's really Jun, and it says it's a rare cousin of kombucha. It is rare. So I first learned about Jun from a girl from my teacher training when I was in yoga, and when I was in yoga teacher training, and she would make it, and she was starting a whole business. And remember, she was selling it for like each I guess container that she would make was like $10, and you're not talking about something gigantic. So she was selling it for a good amount, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. But she was saying that it is pretty rare, and it's true because I hadn't heard about it at that time. I was pretty surprised when I saw it in the stores finally. Well, the thing is that as much as I love these people, as much as I love everyone in the world, I have found that I have always gotten sick from people making homemade things, all right? And I appreciate homemade things, but it's just always the risk that you take. So at the time, for her saying, I'm like, please let me sample it first to see if I'm not gonna be throwing up. But I wasn't able to do that because we did not live in the same area. So it wasn't even something I pursued with her. But it stuck in my mind. I'm like, remember June, remember this. So I'm a big fan of kombucha. I love kombucha because I actually cannot drink alcohol. It's not that I can't, how do I put it? There's no like doctor, there's no one saying you can't do this. The thing that says I can't do it is my body. So if someone else has alcohol, like if you drink alcohol, you might get a buzz. And if I drink alcohol, I'll just get a headache, and then I'll be just miserable afterwards. There is no of that good feeling. And if there is a good feeling, it lasts for about this long, and then after that, I get like an instant hangover. So my body does not do alcohol whatsoever. It just doesn't work. It's not built for it. And there was a time where it was, but once I became Reiki attuned, that part of my life ended. So but the thing is that I still enjoyed I liked, like, when you have champagne or even beer, the fizziness, just a different flavor. I still enjoyed those flavors. So I was like, well, how do I get this? One is with drinking vinegars. Drinking vinegars will have some kind of sense of a different kind of taste other than your juice or your water or your iced tea, which is usually just either no flavor or sugar or sweet. And that's it. But there's nothing else going on. Well, enters kombucha in my life, and now I have that fizz. I have a little bit of that fermentation, so now I have more complex flavors with apparently some health benefits. So I'm like, all right, I'm feeling this. Then enter June. Oh man, and enter this brand here. When I drink this, I get out a champagne glass. I make it a very fancy occasion, and I'm so serious about the process. And then I pour it and I sip on it like a classy freaking lady that I am. And the reason why I enjoy it so much is because it's milder in flavor than kombucha. So it gives you, there's something going on. It makes you imagine that you're having some kind of fine champagne for those of us who can't have champagne. And it's like, it has bubbles, so there's a sense of bubbly going on, and of course it doesn't taste just like carbonated juice, which you have sparkling ciders and stuff like that. It's not just a sweet sparkly thing. It's not super sweet, so that's great as well. So there's like nuances going on. You feel like you're exploring something. This flavor happens to be blackberry mint, so you see that you're gonna have some juxtaposition of flavors, a little bit of like opening in your mouth, just great moments. And I've also enjoyed the blueberry basil. I love blueberry almost anything because blueberry has that calm, round feeling, and then that basil, what it does is just sparks it open just ever so slightly. It becomes this really beautiful dance on the tongue, and it's a very fancy event. It's sweetened with honey, and the amount of honey that they use really isn't like overwhelming. It's a nice gentle honey flavor, but you do taste the honey. You taste that little slight twang that some honeys can have, because you know I'm also into honey, so we'll do a treat yourself honey one day as well, because I love different kinds of honeys. But this honey reminds you more of your classic honey that you grew up with, but at a very like small amount, so it's not taking over the flavor of the Jun. So this right here is my Treat Yourself Friday recommendation. And you're like, well, what are the spiritual benefits of kombucha or Jun? Well, I see it like this. When you get into your spirituality, you know, when you're really deep into this, there are going to be times in your life where, like I said, for me, I can no longer drink alcohol. And so when you're wanting to do something special, let's say you want to pour libations, or you want to have something kind of elevated, especially if you're doing ritual work or even altar work, and you're not going to be purchasing alcohol, which sometimes I will purchase like a small amount of alcohol to do ritual work. But I find that something like Jun, which still has some kind of power to me, that has that mixture of all the elements, that has a fluid that is maybe that has a spark to it, I can use as well, or kombucha. So if you think about when you do altar work, when you're giving offerings, I like to use bubbly. A lot of people don't know that. I like to use bubbly. I like to use champagne. I've used champagne before as a sense of bringing things forth in a kind of beautiful and bright way. So when you're manifesting things, well, I find that I also like to sip, because when I do spell work or any kind of ritual, I like to consume it. I don't like to just leave an offering, because offerings to me just kind of seem like a waste of something. So I want to be able to consume it, because what I'm shifting and what the main altar is for me is me. I am the altar, so I have to do some altering. So using something like this in a fancy way, in a ritualistic way, gives me the same effect as if I were doing a champagne or a beer or any kind of bubbly that I'm using to bring forth something in a bubbly, effervescent way. All right, so there you go. Treat Yourself Fridays. I hope you guys enjoy it. Hallelujah, holla magic, and I'll see you next time. As always, like, subscribe, tell your friends. And what kind of little potion do you guys like to use? Do you make your own? Do you have your own tonics? Let me know in the comments. And maybe you can give me a recipe. I'm not going to drink yours, but I will try to drink mine.